Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I'm Inês Matias. I'm Business Creation Lead at EIT Health Stars, and this is the Rise to Challenge series of events. We started the event early this year where we were inviting startup leaders, some of our partners to talk about their journeys, share their tips. And today I have the pleasure to have here with us Federico Cismondi, document collaboration expert and CEO of doDOC. Welcome, Federico.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you for being here with us. So, before we start our chat today, let me just go through some house rules. So, we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn of VIT Stars pages, and our audience can make any questions they want to Federico. You can put the questions on the comment sections. Okay, we will address the questions at the end of the event. We will do some. And if you have any questions about EIT Health or our programs, just go to our website, eithealth.eu or innostarter.eithealth.eu. And yeah, I think we are good to start. So, Federico, good morning to you.
Good afternoon there. How are you?
All good, thank you. Ready for some Christmas break? Hope you too. Let's start with first things first. So, who are you? Tell us a bit about who you are, your background, and how the doc idea started.
Absolutely. I'm gonna try to give you the quick version because and what I consider the real version, because over time you start creating different versions for different situations, but this I think is the real one. About me at least. The first part is, well, me being born in Argentina, from an Italian family. So and then later in life living for the last 12 years in the US. So the accent is a mix of a lot of stuff. Living in the middle of spending some time in Portugal. So accent is a mix of Spanish from Argentina, Portuguese, and Italian. So there we
But
go.
I have to tell you, I heard some Portuguese words before from you, and they were quite good. So
Thank
that
you.
accent, you nailed it.
Thank you. I think I've had a good teacher. So, little funny story. I did a study for a little while in Portugal, and unfortunately, I didn't know that Portuguese people are very formal when they talk to professors, and they talk to professors in the third person. And I would talk to a professor like he was my friend, and my friends were like, "That's not the way." So anyway, my
did,
studies were
did,
actually in Argentina. I studied biomedical engineering, and then I did a master's in nuclear physics. Applied to medicine. I was mainly a hardware engineer. I was working with CT scanners, PET scanners, scintillation cameras, and then I started focusing on the part of imaging and all the processing of images acquired by these devices. From there, I started migrating into electronic medical records, which is sort of a natural thing because these images go into that.
yeah.
And then I decided I actually had a first business, and I was selling software. I created this software and then sold it to different hospitals to manage this information, these
Okay.
electronic medical records. And at that point, I had the chance to do my PhD through the MIT Portugal program, and then finally staying pretty much the whole time at MIT. So I moved first to Portugal and then to Boston. And while I was doing my PhD, I met Carlos and Paulo, another co-founder at that point. And after finishing my PhD and spending some time in the Middle East, we decided to start doDOC. And the idea came basically as a way of saying, look, we work a lot with documents, whether it is for scientific publications or it is for interactions with the FDA or with IRB approvals that you need from, let's say, any sort of intervention, any sort of investigation that you need to do that involves patients. You need these, and it's a very structured documentation, boring to prepare, but it
Yeah.
requires a lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
So at that point, I think I migrated from being a hardware engineer or a software engineer to becoming really a document collaboration expert. So that label sounds like, oh, he's thinking of himself as as an expert in collaboration. Truth is, we've gone through so much studying and researching about collaboration that at this point, I think pretty much everybody with a leadership position within doDOC is a document collaboration expert.
Definitely.
So that is how doDOC was born.
That's very, very it's a special journey, but we'll go there. So doDOC started in 2014, yes, when you came to do the MIT Portugal program at Carlos and Paulo.
That was actually before. The MIT Portugal program started in 2008, and I graduated in 2012 from my PhD. And in 2014, we started with the idea of doDOC, and finally the company was registered in 2015. So that is when we really started as a company.
Okay, so guide us a bit through the company journey. So in 2014, the idea arrived, you start working it. Then, and this was during a Coimbra University program. So Coimbra is a city here in Portugal. What happened then? You came up with the idea, guide us a bit through it, because your journey, just like I was saying, it's actually very special. So your company has a double nationality, it has US nationality, but also European nationality. But almost the entire, like 90% of your team is based in Portugal. So this is a quite special setting, I would say. So guide a bit how all that happened, because it's not so frequent to see that. And I think it's quite interesting.
Absolutely. So I think the first real attempt that we made with doDOC to become a company and to become a successful company was in 2014 through the Lisbon Challenge Accelerator.
Okay.
But we were not a company then. We were just a project with 3 people, and we would eventually hire some people to do stuff for us, even when we were not registered yet. So it was like hiring, no real contract, because there was no company, and there was no real salary because there was no.
It was a project, like a research project.
It was a project. So then we were lucky enough through our network of contacts to start talking to really large companies and to people very important within these corporate structures, and they would give us a lot of feedback about what we were wanting to do. And we already had a prototype that was, I think, the ugliest prototype ever, but it was a working prototype. So we were able to show.
Is any prototype a beautiful thing?
Well,
have you ever seen a beautiful prototype?
The saying goes that if you're too comfortable with the prototype, you're already late in the journey. Exactly. So yeah, that was an ugly one. But in any case, that allowed us to show what we wanted to do to these companies, and we started gathering a lot of interest. So at that point, we decided to move to Boston. I moved back to Boston. That was the place where I was living. And Carlos and Paulo came also together. We did Techstars Boston, being the first Portuguese. And this is the thing: the first Portuguese company, not really, because we were not registered yet, but the first Portuguese project to be accepted to Techstars Boston. And at that point, we did start hiring some people, first in the US, and we were really not happy with I think with the culture that we were imprinting to the company, and with the speed of development, with the quality of the development. And we were biased because we already knew that in Portugal, the quality of human resources is very good. So we decided to change the strategy and to move to Portugal and start hiring in Portugal. So that is when we actually opened our first office in Coimbra. And this happened towards the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. And many of the people that started being hired that year are still with the company, and most of them in leadership positions. Our chief product, our chief technology officer, our head of front end are all people that were hired during that year, and they were fantastic. And we are still very happy to have them.
How the team, like overall doDOC? How many people is it?
So this year we are expecting to close it with 30 people. Currently we are around 28 people in the team. So
and how many of those are here in Portugal?
Of those 23, 24 are in Portugal.
Okay, and they are sitting in IPN, Instituto Pedro Nunes, right? Incubator.
Until a couple of weeks ago, before the pandemic got bad again. But yes, we opened a new office that is a really, really nice workspace with a beautiful view at IPN. The new, I call them the new buildings because they look newer. They are probably from the same time. But unfortunately, yes, people had to go back to working from home. I guess until the situation normalizes a little, it's going to be like that on and off.
Okay, so we are seeing your journey in EIT Health programs. So these programs have been participating all over the years, 2016, 2017, 18, 20, and of course, EIT Health is a pan-European institution. So we focus in European market, but we also support companies that are looking to scale out of Europe. But all these programs, and the last program you participated, the Bridgehead, was one of the goals was to expand to other European markets. So in what European markets are you currently present? You are also trying to explore?
So since we are focused still on, and I say still, then we can explore a little bit the part of what other verticals and markets doDOC can service. But we're still very much focused on pharmaceutical and medical devices. So you can say generalize and say life sciences, but life sciences includes healthcare, and we are not necessarily focused on healthcare.
Okay. I'm asking geographically markets, sorry.
I know, but I was going to say we are focusing on that, and the strongest presence of those markets in Europe are in France and Germany. So that is where our main focus is. However, you do have a significant presence of pharmaceutical companies in Eastern Europe. More and more, they open facilities either for manufacturing or even for research, and of course, England. So to answer fully your question, where we are focusing on France and Germany, but definitely the UK and Eastern Europe are also a focus for us. And then the rest of Europe, wherever we see an opportunity, and definitely, of course, US and Japan, that are the two other very strong, very big strongholds. But definitely in Europe is Germany and France.
Okay, cool. So let me just remind our audience that we are live on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you have any questions to Federico, just paste them on the comment section, then we'll put some of those at the end. So this is already a long journey, right? You had your ups and downs. Of course, more ups than downs because you're here and super successful company. What were the main points, the main pain points? So the main pain points of this journey. What did you learn the hard way? Because you had a company before and you sold that company, so you started the new one. After you learned a lot of don't do this.
Yeah, I guess I always ask myself, what are the things that I would never do if I start another company? Or the things that I would do immediately or that I would do different. So the first one that comes to mind is always the same: hire fast. We were probably with doDOC too slow to hire certain people. I mean, if you hear again the story, we were a project in 2014. We went through Techstars in 2015. Only in 2016 we started hiring a team. It's 2 years and a half there. That is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. So that is the first thing I would change, and hire aggressively and talented people like we did. But
okay. And at the time, why did you hire aggressively? Because what companies don't have, what startups don't have is money to hire. So it's like we have a thing in Portugal: is a fish with his tail in his mouth, right? You don't have money, you cannot hire. You don't have money, you cannot hire, not grow.
Well, but there is, I think it's a circle. And it can, I hope it doesn't sound cocky or arrogant at all, but I think it's, again, a lesson for us. If you don't have the money to hire, you just don't have the company that you are dreaming of. So you can keep dreaming, but I mean, again, it's you need the money to be the company. And if you're not convincing the investors to get that money, it is for a reason. For us, it wasn't actually about not convincing the investors. we were asking for too little money until we realized that we needed more. Again, it's this idea that you think that you're asking for a lot of money, and when you start looking at the market, when you start looking at what you want to do, when you start looking at the revenue that you can generate, you realize that it's not a lot of money, that you need that money, and that through that money, you're going to generate a lot more opportunities and a lot more money if you want for the investors that support you. But in the end, that you do need that money to hire people, to have the presence that you need to have at conferences and all that. Basically the simple rule. I mean, you need to spend money to make money. So
exactly. No, exactly. And I think, I mean, if we hear what you say, it's obvious. It's obvious for everyone, right? But when startups are in an early stage, like 2nd year of life, 3rd year, they have the money, it's all counted, and sometimes might be just a matter of prioritizing the right priority, right? Instead of maybe we need to push, I don't know, market or something, but no, it's maybe hiring. Okay.
and
So yeah,
there is another thing that is we were not confronted with that. So I'm going to speak more from seeing other companies, because we were lucky enough that all the people that we hired, I don't want to generalize and saying the people that left during the journey left, they all left for a reason. And I heard something a few days ago that I think it was very important, because it summarized the way I felt about every person that left. Every person that left wasn't necessarily a bad person, but made us stronger. Because when they left, we were definitely not prepared for them leaving. So we needed to scramble and come up with a better way for doing things than what we were doing before. And again, go out and find the person that could do what that person was doing or better. And usually we were successful at that, and finding somebody to do that better. So again, that is another part that I think if somebody wants to leave or has to leave, there is nothing really negative there. There is an opportunity.
yeah, okay. Great. So for those of you who have just joined us, let me just share that this conversation will be available on LinkedIn and Facebook pages, EIT Health Stars after. We are also adding all these Rise to the Challenge events, series of events in our YouTube page. And for the podcast lovers, we are also adding this as a podcast format in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Again, share any questions you might have on the comment sections. We'll pick some of those questions. And any information about EIT Health or our programs is available in our websites, who are already being posted in the comment section. So at the beginning of your journey, you had one client, academic, right? This is what you were targeting, the academic client. But you have shifted to the pharma, like you just mentioned. What are main challenges on working with pharma companies, giving them all these digital tools? And also, if you can explore, how is this B2B world in healthcare?
Sure. So the first part, it's true. We had an academic client, and we still have a few academic clients. They at least they have some sort of dedication or participation in academia. What we discovered working with academia is that there was no money readily available to support the startup the way we need it from our clients. There is money in academia to buy solutions, to buy software. We were just not successful at gathering that money. Let's put it that way. And we realized that we were going to be more successful through pharma. Because truth is, it's not that the product cannot service academia. It's not that the value proposition is not there for academia. But it's easier. And let's say if the value proposition is, they are a little more savvy with money. Definitely, but no, it's just, I think, again, you have a lot of postdocs and a lot of PhD students and a lot of master students that are willing to spend a lot of hours working on the documents, even if the collaboration with the documents is not efficient.
Yeah, and you have like investigators, principal investigators, and universities that don't care if they have to spend more hours.
Which is, I mean, people tend to say, well, their time is not that expensive. Actually, I think their time is super expensive, super valuable. But unfortunately, that is the way things go. So I hope that someday we get to that market in a different way. But yeah, that was a situation. So when we started exploring pharma, we realized that they had a very similar problem, and that replicated over different departments, different situations. And well, we started exploring different avenues for getting, for example, to clinical research, scientific publications, even post-market to medical information. And all of them reacted very well to our value proposition. So that is how we started getting to pharma. And big pharma, and especially, and I say this especially big pharma, because you can find pharmaceutical companies with 10 people, and really 2 of them are going to be using a system for collaborating with documents. So you're selling to 2 people. But when you talk about a big pharma, you're talking about 100,000, 200,000 employees, maybe 500,000 employees. So these are huge companies. And I think the most important thing that you're selling is not necessarily a collaboration product. You're selling trust. They need to trust the system where they are going to put information, but they need to trust you. And they need to trust your company. They need to trust that you're going to be there whenever they need you. If they need you to train users, if they need you to solve a problem. Software in general has bugs by definition. Even the software that is used on a rocket that goes to the moon. And that is why you actually train the astronauts to deal with those bugs. It's not that you say the software is not going to have any bugs. So again, the client doesn't necessarily care if the software has or doesn't have bugs. The client cares that you're there to hold their hand and work together with them through the bugs, through the problems, and make the software and the relationship better every day. Because in the end, we sell software as a service. We sell a SaaS offering.
Yeah.
And the service part is a very important thing in that SaaS acronym, because it involves a lot of trust.
That's a very good tip, and I think that people or early startups often they are not there yet. They still need to learn it, and sometimes they'll learn the hard way. But that's a very good tip. Can you share a little bit about your acquisition? Well, doDOC being acquired by Envision Group.
Yeah, absolutely. So over time, and this is another thing that I think comes with a lesson. When you're looking at the clients that you're servicing, you start seeing different problems. Not only the one that you're solving, but other ones that are adjacent. And you start considering the possibility of, what if I develop something that can also solve that problem? And it is very risky, because at some point you might create a monster of a product that has a lot of tentacles, like an octopus, and the problem is really you're never going to be able to be as good as you could be if you focus on one thing. So we started focusing on the one thing that we were really good at, that was document collaboration, and we started seeing that the landscape had a lot of other service providers that were very good at what they were doing, managing documents, managing workflow, managing communications. So we started integrating with different solutions, and in particular with one that was the iEnvision solution, created by the Envision Pharma Group and commercialized in pharma and medical devices. And the integration was a success, because clients started reacting very well to it. It's like one is solving one very important problem, and the other solution is solving a remaining problem there, and the 2 of them combined make it look seamless to the client, which is very important, because then they don't feel like they are working with 2 different products. So we started seeing that going very well, and I think the 2 companies started becoming very interested in working closely together, in the sense of, what if we actually integrate efforts reaching out to clients? What if it becomes a deep partnership? So that is when we started discussing the acquisition. And in February 2021, so this year, February, we were acquired, and we became part of the Envision Pharma Group family. And it's been a great year, I have to say, because all of a sudden, just because of the larger structure that you belong to, you have an easier way to reach out to the community, not just to clients, but also to new team members that you need to hire, to promote different things that you want to do with the community, like webinars. So it's been a great year, and I think 2022 will be even better.
Great, very exciting from our side also. Thanks, Federico. Let's see if we have any questions from our audience. We have Sophia Martner asking, hi, you went through many EIT Health programs. Congrats. Which program do you value most for your business growth and why? If you remember your journey, you were 4 programs. The early 2 programs, they don't exist anymore, at least as they were. What was the program that actually made, I don't know, had this aha moment that allowed you to go?
For me, I'm a little biased because to me it was the first 2, and actually especially the first one. And without mentioning the person, I'm going to mention the company. That program allowed us to build a relationship with Bayer, which was a great thing just because of the introduction, but it also positioned us and allowed us to understand a lot more of the landscape in Europe in terms of how these consortiums work. Because the truth is, it allowed us to access a consortium of people from different companies, different service providers, not just potential targets. So to me, that was the best one. However, the last one that we had was the possibility of working with catalyzers. So we ended up working with a catalyzer from Germany and another one from France that also provided us access to their network of contacts. However, it was sort of in an unfair year because the introductions were working fantastic, but I still believe that it is a market in which, I mean, having that in-person relationship developed through conferences and events and visiting the clients was missing last year and this year. So I think that we're going to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, build trust that you were mentioning earlier, right? It's much easier. Well, that's very good because we do still have in EIT Health, although with not the same many programs where this is clearly one of the moments where startups can actually benefit a lot is connecting with industry partners to either collaborate or co-develop and learn from who's already in the market for a lot of time. Federico, I think we're done. We are running out of time, most. I feel we could be here talking for hours. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's a real pleasure. We are in EIT Health. We're very proud to see your continuous growth and success. And we are really looking forward for what's to come in 2022 and the next years. So thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. And thank you, and thanks to EIT Health, because I think, I mean, you've been together with us for the whole journey, and we definitely appreciate all the help. I think it's been crucial at different points in our journey, and it has helped us tremendously.
Great, that's very good to know, and we're very proud of you guys. So thank you to our audience. It was a pleasure also to have you here today. Again, this episode and all the other episodes we ran during the year are available on LinkedIn and Facebook pages of EIT Health InnoStar, on YouTube, in podcast format. And we wish you happy holidays, and we hope to see you very soon in our next episode. Bye.